Hit me!
Episode 281. 282.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
Yeah, it's what we try to tell the kids. Anyway, welcome everyone. Another edition of NetHeads on the books. It's 281 or 282. Apparently, we don't know. My name is Will.
Yeah, and I'm Trent. I apparently have a problem like seeing something and thinking something else. I pull up the list of episodes. I see, okay, 281. Intuitively, 282 would be next. But I'm like Ron Burgundy, can only read what is on the teleprompter.
I understand completely. The tribe of the hand shall rule, my friend. Which isn't a Ron Burgundy reference. It's actually an SNL skit that I will always remember and love.
I smell you are weak. I challenge you to a duel.
I have slain the weatherman. Anyway, welcome, everyone. If you want to take part in the program, you can one of many ways. One of them is Twitter. Trent, tell them about it.
Oh, my gosh. Be like longtime fans of the program, T. Kate and Caper Girl Mel. Use the hashtag NetHeads. And like they have done, can also help direct the program, ask us questions, complain, do whatever you want. Just use the hashtag NetHeads on Twitter.
Yeah, just knock yourself out. Do whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
Because God knows Ash Williams sure does, right?
Yeah, he's not scared.
Everything is NetHeads in his world, which, you know, hey, thanks for keeping the name alive, buddy. We really appreciate it. Anyway, if you also want to, you know what? Nobody ever does anyway. But
keeping the name alive outside of March NCAA basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
There'll always be a office pool or something that will pop up that they think that they came up with or something.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, as Shadow Clone San taught us also as well, most people see it and go, it's just a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just some podcast. Okay. Anyway, if you what I was saying is if you want to contact us directly, you can also eventually get us on Skype via NetHeads on air. Eventually.
Yeah.
Just not at the very immediate moment. Actually, though, Trent, what I did want to say that I thought was really kind of cool and interesting is that with everything going on in our lives, actually we've been requested to do a new segment, which you know, I'm more than willing to do.
Me too. Me too.
I have no qualms about it whatsoever. Oh, hold on, because I've got an error message on one hand.
Error.
Yeah.
Error.
Yeah, see, the Skype, of course, doesn't want to work because it
does.
By the way, in case you haven't noticed, Trent, I think Microsoft finally drew the line in the sand, and they said you may not use the old version of Skype anymore.
Sorry, I'm done with Skype then. Never use it again.
You're like, Windows 95 forever, bitches.
Yeah. Look, I don't care, okay? If 2/3 of the POS systems in America are still running Windows, what was the really good Windows? Not 98, not 95, Windows XP. Yeah. If 2/3 of the POS systems, retail POS systems, are still using Windows 98, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, you know, it is funny you mention that, though, because I still think there are people, myself included, I really appreciated the simplicity and simplicity?
Yeah,
Ugh.
Simplicity.
Whatever. The simplicity and the ease of use, or maybe it's just from a level of familiarity at this point, but really Windows XP for me was one of the last great versions of Microsoft. Probably nearly, what was the one before the current iteration we're on? What was before
8.
Windows 10? No,
8.
I didn't like 8. That wasn't it.
7 was a big deal because it tried to make the jump to more like device based OS, but using it on a desktop as well. And that was the big change up. It didn't work super well. Windows 8 was just kind of like a that on steroids. Windows 10 I'm okay with.
I'm okay with it too, but it's still very touch oriented, and
It is.
there
Yeah,
are
it
a lot
is.
of automatic features. If you're trying to run on an older
Screw
system, you got
Cortana. Oh, I hate Cortana. I have never and will never use it. I'm sorry. Same thing, Samsung. I don't want your Bixby or whatever it is.
You don't want Bill Bixby? I'm confused now.
They have their own Cortana type thing. In fact,
okay.
that's one of the biggest critiques of the Samsung phone is that where most phones would have like an off button or a photo shoot button, they have a button that just accesses their assistant.
Oh, well, isn't that handy?
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, not really. I'm not big on the digital assistants. I don't really use Siri that much. I mean,
Nope.
probably because we live in a world where I can be sitting at my desk and I can just say, Alexa, what's the weather today? And she'll tell me.
Wait, is she telling you?
Currently, in Brentwood, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect partly sunny weather with a high of 82 degrees and a low of 58 degrees.
Hashtag NorCal.
Yeah, right?
Sign me up.
Yeah,
Good
buddy.
God.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
It is wonderful. Hey, well, if I had kept the bubble cover on appropriately, we could have probably been extending the swimming season a little. Well, I'm sorry. I guess you can't really go with the kind of rich Thurston Howell III voice when you're talking about a bubble cover on your above ground pool, but
When you're above ground pool. Yeah, when you string the hose out
yeah,
to fill it up.
which I do.
I know. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of the self-awareness that we have.
Yeah, but now it's even. I came to a sudden realization. Not that anyone wants to hear about pool care, but in filling up the pool, I suddenly realized, wait a second. I've been using this one spout that comes from the back of the house, but I'm pretty sure that's hooking up to the internal plumbing. So all these times I've been filling up my pool, I've been filling it up with like softened water, and if I were to continue to use it now, it would be filtered and softened water. And it's like, why am I wasting the water that I'm purposely conditioning?
That's a good point.
That's just stupid.
Yeah, it's because you're just gonna wash that off anyway when you get out of the swimming pool. I'm assuming, right? It's not like it's a communal bathhouse for everyone to go and like condition their hair in.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not, at least not that I'm aware of. I don't know what goes on at night, but
I was gonna say we haven't got the webcam up out there yet.
yeah, so we don't know. Funny you mentioned that though. I recently renewed my home security system contract, and so they did give us a webcam, and like I never look at it. But this morning my wife is like, "Why aren't I seeing the clip?" So I go to look. And sometime at 6 a.m., either somebody was letting their dog run wild or there was a stray dog out. And there was one corner of my lawn, apparently, the one that, of course, that shows up in the camera. That's why I know. But he's doing that thing where he's either gone on the spot or there's something about the spot. So then he's doing that leg kicking thing and just ripping the shit out of my lawn. And I'm like, whose dog is this? I've never seen this dog. But there's also a neighbor down the street that's doing a bunch of stuff. Anyway, the whole point is the weather's nice. I guess that's where we were going with that.
Yeah, maybe throw the camera up in the back, and you will find that there's a family of raccoons with the softest hair.
You never know. You never know.
with that water softened, conditioned.
I don't even want to talk about that because honestly, that kind of the thought of not animals being in the pool freaks me out. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is with like finding a dead animal in the pool.
Pool, yeah.
If that happens, I don't know if there's enough chlorine that I can put in there to ever get me back in the water.
With that,
It's like, nope, we got to drain this sumbitch and start all over. That's it. Nope, let's just fill in the ground. It's done.
It's done. Get the skid steer back in here. Let's
Yeah. Meantime,
Let's
there's
make this out for good.
we have like one listener in Montana who's just over there going wimp, because he's fishing out squirrels and various other critters.
To my friends in Wyoming who have literally made hot tubs out of the back of their trucks and tarp.
Yeah, there you go. I've seen that happen too.
Yeah, I would, however, like to see use a webcam inside my house just to see how our, and perhaps for you as well, new additions to the four-legged family that we have are getting along, because I'll tell you what, there's been some weird shit going on in the house when no one's there.
In yours?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to find. Look, there. I'm not going to lie. There is one of the beat files that we've got in the Smodco library. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it, and it's not like it's marked as dog beats. But there's one. It's the kitty cat beat, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah,
this one's marked as kitty cat beat, and you hear that a lot with Jason Mewes' advertisements.
Yeah.
But there's one, and I don't know which
for the sales hounds of justice.
You did hear them once, yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, ain't that one. Because I wanted to play it for. Nope.
Yeah, it was. Gosh, that would have been 2000. It was a while when it replaced the sales Jonathan Livingston sales goal for a while.
Hold on, Can I show you something cute real quick? Is this okay? Do you mind? Okay, you've never really seen my daughter Blair on the show before, but here she is. She's going trick or treating.
Oh my gosh!
And she's
so
Spider
cool.
Girl. There we go.
That is awesome.
I love you. Have fun. They're going to. Okay, this sounds weird, but they're going to go trick or treat at Target right now, because a lot of businesses and places have special events around the weekend that you can go and it's nice because with Halloween being on a Wednesday, it kind of extends the Halloween experience.
Yeah, you get to use the costume more than once.
Yeah, exactly. And that one actually. I got to tell you, when you have kids, it's like you worry about spending money on costumes. But let me just tell you guys something, okay? Anytime you got to go shopping now, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is go online. We knew the costume that we wanted was at Party City, right?
Okay.
So I asked my wife, well, why don't you see if they have in-store pickup, and that way you could just go online. And sure enough, not only did they do that, so we had the comfort in mind of knowing that they more than likely than not had the costume.
Right.
But also, because I was online, I don't know why they're incentivizing it, but I also got to use a 20% off
discount.
coupon.
Heck yeah, dude.
So basically, I paid for my tax for free, and then it was almost like double the tax off.
And then you don't even have to deal with because I mean those are Party City's a little different, but for like Halloween City or Spirit or whatever, they pop up in the abandoned Kmart for like 2 weeks, and they have purely temporary help. The place is a shitstorm. Just no one's taking care of anything. It is a mess, man.
Yeah, and by the way, I got to tell you,
Party City is a little different, but the other ones are a mess.
Yeah, the Spirit Halloween are the ones that mostly pop up around here, and we have got. Actually, it's funny because there's the way cities work, Trent, with their cross streets and their grids.
I do. I am familiar.
In this part of the grid in this part of the grid is the REI that closed in the streets of Brentwood and has been a Spirit Halloween store for a few years.
Yeah.
And then in this part of the grid, just 2 major cross streets up is the abandoned. It's not a closed Best Buy because they actually just moved locations to a different shopping center. But that's a Halloween store too. But the funny thing is, Blair, who you just saw, she thinks of first of all the animatronic things that are supposed to be spooky or scare you.
Yeah,
she loves. So going to the Halloween store for her is like going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want to pacify a kid for 30 minutes, let's go to the Halloween store.
I was gonna say, play your cards right. You say, hey, we're going to Nightmare Before Christmas Land.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't need to go to Disneyland this year.
It's funny you mention that because that's kind of the theme of the front yard this year is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Really?
Well, we were at the what is that called? They just call it World Market now because Cost Plus, I guess, isn't very vendor friendly, and just calling it World Market sounds more, I don't know, ethnically or globally diverse.
Yeah, it sounds more like a Pier 1 Imports type thing,
Yeah, exactly. Which aren't those the same thing, and aren't they owned by the same people? But anyway.
Yeah, and tie trading or whatever. Yeah, they're all the same.
I swear most of the time in most shopping centers, it's like Pier 1 is right next to World Market. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we went there, and like sure enough, they had some, I don't know what to call them, because they're mostly lightweight like a flag, but it's a Jack Skellington that you can hang up, and you can pose his arms, but the rest of his body is just cloth and lanky hanging stuff.
Okay, so it'll like move in the wind.
Exactly. And then also, his sidekick dog Zero.
Yeah. Is that his name?
It is now. Except, well, no, I believe that is his name.
Okay, okay.
And Zero, usually in the movie, he's represented by a red nose.
Yes.
But on this one, he has a tiny pumpkin. And no, that's not to get away with licensing rights, because it is officially licensed content.
Yeah.
But those are actually hanging. Our front porch has like a very high kind of, not an arch, but an entryway to it, and they're hanging right there in it. And I did something very clever because his arms are posable. In one hand, I have him like waving high, and the other hand is just out and resting on the column next to him to try and keep him straight.
Yeah.
But I got that and the giant spider web and just a few headstones. I did take the planter area that's never had anything done with it except some bark thrown in it once. I did kind of gather up as much of that loose dirt as I could to make one of the graves look like it was just a freshly planted grave.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Because you go all out, man. In the past, like one of our first episodes, I remember you walked us through the fog machine you built.
Oh yeah, because Trent, when it comes to a fog machine, you have two different kinds of fog. You either want just free air fog, or you want some low hanging.
You want
fog.
the heavy stuff, yeah.
Right, and for that you need to actually cool down the vapor. So
yeah. Because as we know, hot air rises.
Yes, and I have to tell you honestly, I'm thinking this year about doing something different because why not? But if I can get just a small stretch of some of that drain pipe that you see with the irrigation holes in it, I guess it's the kind of thing you would run down to a French drain system, if you don't know what I'm talking about.
I do.
A deep pit with a lot of 3/4 inch base rock packed in there, so that way you have a place for yard drainage to go down and pool into.
Yeah, or like I have in an old home, your basement.
Oh, is that what a basement is for all the water to collect in?
Well, I have a French drain in the kitchen of my basement.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, anyway, so they do have some very large pieces of what I think of as drain pipe with holes drilled in them, and I'm thinking about getting just one piece of that I can connect up to my fog chiller. So it's the fog machine sitting on top of a cooler that has 4-inch pipe going into it, which I fill with ice. So it creates a chamber of cooling.
Yeah.
And then usually it just goes into this spray painted dryer hose. But instead I'm going to come off the drain hose, and I'm just going to use my pickaxe to briefly make a channel in the ground.
Yep.
Wrap some screen around, just window screen around
so
the
it doesn't
drain
get filled
pipe.
up. Yep.
And then just sink everything down into that channel so that way, and a light layer of dirt so that way this low-hanging fog just kind of creeps out of the ground.
Up. Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
Now here's the reason why. As you know too, I do have a digital projector, right? And I'm openly cribbing this idea from everyone that's seen the Atmos FX videos. So what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to get like either some mini bales of hay, or I'm just going to spray paint what would essentially be 1, 2, 3, 4-sided box hiding thing to put the digital screen in the front, or the digital projector in the front yard. And Atmos FX has these animated pumpkins, so it's 3 pumpkins.
Oh,
and this is brilliant. So all they have is the lit part of the faces, and they're animated. That's the only thing in frame. Everything else is black. So the projector is projecting black on everywhere except for where these faces are animated.
Yeah.
And so I just need to get 3 big pumpkins to put on my rail, and then from the yard, that'll be projecting up onto those, and they'll look like animated pumpkins. And, they got they got funny voices and animated soundtracks and sing a song or do some jokes or whatever nonsense they do. And so I'm gonna do that in the front yard as well with all the other stuff I've already got. So this way, the creeping fog will be down below near the base of the house, and then these pumpkins will be like 6 feet above it. You know, granted,
God, that's so cool.
The fog will kind of probably reveal the broadcast lights, but you know what? I really don't care at this point.
You'll put the fog behind the projection,
Mm-hmm.
and then that would look good because then it would be like shooting onto it.
Oh, well, in that case, then I don't even need to worry about the drain pipe. I could still do
And then you
that.
come out the sides, yeah.
I think what I'll do is I'll still do that, but I'll just do it at the base, behind and underneath where they are. So that way, you know, the fog. Does anyone care about my Halloween decorations?
I do because here, my home is so old. There are no external power outlets. So like there's no decoration going on here. But the projection thing is such a good idea. Like I have a friend who does a huge Christmas party every year, and I DJ it, and it's so great because they use their projector for Christmas lights, and it's cool because it like projects what look like Christmas lights all over the house and all over the yard without having to put up Christmas lights.
Yeah, those and we have something like that too. This year we got an LED going with the Nightmare Before Christmas theme. We welcome to the NetHeads Halloween special, everyone.
Yeah, Spirit Halloween if you're listening.
Yeah, next year, guys, just pick us up. We'll go every week.
Give us a coupon code.
Yeah, that's all we need. Well, and you know there are people that specifically they love going to the Spirit Halloween store on November 1st for stocking up for next year.
Yeah,
you know?
well, so all my friends in the cosplay community, like this is their jam, right? The day after, like that they're open, they go in and clean house for anything they might in the future possibly conceive of building.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Anyway, what I was saying is we got an LED projector that takes Zero, the head of Jack Skellington, the head of Oogie Boogie, and just a pumpkin with like Jack Skellington's face. And those kind of just all float around in a grid pattern on the front of the house as part of the Halloween decorations. But I've seen a lot. That's the thing in our neighborhood anyway. You don't see a lot of Halloween decorating anymore, and it's my favorite thing to do. The only thing is, I just bring out the fog machine during this time of year. But the other thing I would like to do, maybe for next year, because I realized that I could do this very easily, and I would only have to do it from inside of the living room window. I could put up my projector, and then these Atmos people, they make another product, which is it's a sheer piece of fabric that you can project up to, so things can look translucent. But you could also take Halloween specials and run them. So if I did that and hooked them up to a low-level FM broadcast transmitter and just say what frequency to tune in, then when you go by, you can enjoy the movie or what have you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's and you see people do that with like their robotic animatronic Christmas lights.
Do they? Okay. So,
Yeah.
so like when they've got it going set to like a song or something. I've seen that before. Yeah.
Exactly. And, if you want to make sure you're not intruding on your neighbors and you don't mind doing a little soldering, you can very easily get an inexpensive FM transmitter kit that'll just give you some RCA plugins to go into it or headphone jack. And that way you're just going over the local neighborhood. And you're not going to be intruding on anyone else's listening experience. Not to mention, the other nice thing about it is you can just like play with your FM dial and you can see what station is dead in your area and use that one.
Yeah, and use that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and I know there, like if you're really wanting to get techie into it, I think we brought this up before, but you can there are ways to use your Raspberry Pi to hook up to an antenna for FM transmitting as well if you've got a Raspberry Pi laying around the house. But
it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, I mean, not that I do. It's not that I have I do have a Raspberry Pi laying around, but it's inside of a video cabinet.
I was gonna say you're using it for the gaming cabinet. But...
Which, by the way, a bar top cabinet was a great concept if you have a bar top to regularly sit it on.
Sit it at, yeah.
But now I'm at the point where I need to come up with some type of system to hold it up if it's not on the island in the kitchen, which makes it really impractical for use. But anyway, let's get back into the like a TV cart, Yeah, exactly. Well, for everything for all of the stupid things I plan on doing here in the studio, including rolling back to 480p broadcast and then digitally upscaling it, just so I can use my old Play Incorporated Trinity switcher.
Yeah.
Not my best idea. Like, we're going to step backward to move forward. That makes no sense, Will. But that requires, I basically think I need to make a rolling cabinet so that way it can write on something and the computer could be in there. And then I could just close the front of that and it could be functional to hold the arcade cabinet on as well.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, like, I work at the university and they have a surplus sale. Not like a sale, but just like they have a warehouse where all the stuff that they don't use anymore, they go to sell it, and you can pick up those nice, and they have a surplus TV carts for like $10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ones that like you'd have in a business, like, okay, everyone, we need to watch this training so that we're not held liable for any more sexual harassment.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar with them. It's usually got at least you got the top shelf for the TV, middle shelf for the equipment, and then storage underneath. Well, not storage, but it's like the last shelf.
Yeah.
They're all black. Each shelf is lined with grip, slip resistant material.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an idea and would save a ton of labor. And that way, if you want it to be enclosed, then just throw two sides up and leave the front up. Good idea, Trent. Look at you saving. And it's, dude, look, I've been going through a backyard renovation, and it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do because, I guess it's hard for me to conceptualize spending the money, even though it's not really spending the money because we live in a world of credit. But
right.
There is something to be said about the benefits of hiring professionals to do the things that you think you're capable of doing yourself. One, they get done right. That's the first obvious one. But the other nice thing, too, is that you can look out your backyard in the morning, for example, and you could just see dirt. And then you can look out in the evening, and suddenly there's an entire artificial lawn there. Just set up and ready to go.
Instead of looking out the front yard in the morning and just having like all this anxiety come crashing down on your shoulders of like, oh my God, I've got so much work to do.
Yeah, exactly. Or just looking out with utter disgust. It's just like, it's never going to get done. It's never going to be finished.
Just feelings of self-doubt and failure.
Yeah, but I'm also
maybe I'm projecting here. Maybe you don't have those feelings when you look at your yard.
No, I do all the time. It's just like, oh my God, there's still so much to be done, and I can't do it. But I'm also at that weird point where I got involved with a company that is. I'm telling you right now, I'm putting it out there. In the end, if I were able to do an investigation, I would understand that what they are doing is overextending themselves in order to stock up on jobs. Okay, because. I know my work crew comes and basically goes. It's like, and they're honest with me. They're not like the guy that's managing everything. They tell me, they need our help over at a 3,000 square foot project in Antioch. So I'm put on hold because, we're getting a deck put in around the pool as well. So certain things are on hold while the deck is decided, but some of that is just utter bullshit in trying to tell me that because there is work that could be done. Because here's where we're at with the yard, and I could send out a picture, but I won't. They've basically taken down the entire enclosure around the deck. They've put in the artificial lawn. Now, for the rest of the backyard design, we've got two elements. Decomposed granite going everywhere where there's dirt, and then a deck. So the deck, everything else is decomposed granite, packed down. Poor man's cement. Easy ground cover, weeds don't grow in it, exactly what I need. And most importantly, dogs don't get muddy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And for some reason, I saw them come in and finish the lawn, and that's it this week. And I literally, what were some of the excuses the guy used? Let's put it out there. Because you know what? I don't care. I'm not naming names. His response was basically, I'm going to bring by samples to decide on the deck and mark off the deck. So until that's done, decomposed granite DG Gold install should wait. And his other excuse on that was, plus with your area size, we need a single large supply for consistently, kind of like die lot matching. Which is great, except I've already called 3 places, and I know the exact cost and the fact that they can deliver all the decomposed granite we need within a certain amount of time. So that's not an issue.
Right.
And I'm going to send off an email later today saying, look, I'm calling bullshit, and if there's not decomposed granite in my yard before Halloween, I will find another contractor.
Yeah, it's especially where like he's not even going to be the one to transport that, right? He's just going to hire the gravel company, the excavation company to bring that in, right?
It'll be dropped off. Here's realistic. I mean, he's claimed that he's got like 15 crews, but I believe in our area they've got 2 crews because I've only seen I've seen 2 trucks and the same guys over and over. and so the stuff will be dropped off, and then they have to slough everything in. Now, mind you, because of the amount of materials and the amount of space we're doing, they may need to drop that off in different stages. Like,
sure.
It's like, okay, we're going to do 1 drop off in the morning and then 1 drop off in the afternoon. As long as it's from the same lot, we'll be okay, but whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much they can move, because then it's a crew that does everything. Like when they did the artificial lawn, it was a 3-man job. And during that time, for part of it, like 2 guys were out of commission because they were also trying to finish off the irrigation, the drip line system.
Oh, sure.
So while that was happening, the 3rd guy, they had previously had to bring the irrigation system in, and they chewed up my side yard. So they took some of the excess materials, and now I've got a nicely, densely packed, decomposed granite side yard with that's just the gray, poor man's concrete, or what you do for a cheap driveway. What you do is you put in a layer 3/4 inch base, you pack that down, Trent, then you get like 2 to 4 inches of that decomposed granite on top, wet it down, pack it down. It's almost as good as cement driveway, I tell you what.
Well, and not only that, the 3/4 crush that you put down at the bottom allows, not unlike a French drain, right? So that when water does come, it's not going to run right into the house like what would happen with concrete, right? It's actually, there is going to be some dissipation, but the 3/4 crush is going to help from it moving, right? Because that's the problem when you have water that comes through things, it tends to move. But if you have some sort of filtration system, which 3/4 crush does, I'm wholly here with you, man.
Right on. I'm glad you're on the same page as I am.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole point is, I'm at the point where they're a month behind project, and I just want everything done, and I don't think that's unreasonable. So
no, absolutely not.
I'm gonna drop some heat, because realistically, this isn't the only contractor in the world, and the way my financing goes, I can find somebody else. So
yeah.
Anyway, we weren't here to talk about that. What we were trying to get to, I was trying to. Originally, you remember, like 45 minutes ago, I don't even remember how long ago it was, I was trying to find a track so that way we could do something. That ain't it. It's not going to be that one. I don't think we're going to be able to find it. I'll find it for next time, because Caper Girl Mel brought up a really good point, that with everything going on in our world, an excellent segment on the show would be what we would call pup dates, regular pup dates.
Yeah, that's such a good name.
It is. It's perfect, because in case you did not know, I have recently, let's just use the term adopted. Our family adopted a rescue dog that is it's a Samoyed or Samoyed, depending on the way you like to say it.
Oh, okay.
Short for Sammies, but they're like white wolf-like snow dogs, right?
They are fucking beautiful, dude.
Oh, so fluffy.
They are like so beautiful.
Yeah, he's a sight to behold. So our family just had that happen, and I think we talked about it on the last episode. But since then, there's been a growth in your house as well.
That's true. Yes, I have recently brought into the home a 18-month-old purebred Newfoundland named Lurch.
Now, was that the name he was given, or the name you gave him?
Nope, that was a prior name. Oh, he heard his name. Hey, Lurch, come here.
Oh,
Lurch.
there he is. We can, if you're watching the video, netheadsonair.com/live, you can see him. Oh, look at that. We get a look at my kid and a look at your kid on this show. How cute.
Here we go. We'll just do a little. Yeah, so this is Lurch.
Aww. Now, is that the same type of dog as Michael Cera?
Yeah, so Michael Cera is half Newfoundland, half flat-coated retriever. So they have the same shape of head, but Michael Cera has like the feet of a flat-coated retriever and more of the hair of a flat-coated retriever. But and then a little bit bigger than a flat-coated retriever. Lurch here, I'm guessing right now at 18 months he's 130 pounds.
Oh my God.
And will, as he thickens up and builds muscle, will probably get to be around 160, 170.
Holy moly, dude. That's the size and weight of a human being.
Yes.
In dog
yes,
form.
it is. Yes.
See, right now ours was he's undersized for the breed, or average, I'm not sure, but also he's clocking in somewhere around 45 to 50 pounds, so not too bad. He's going to get a little bit bigger, but that's about it. So you say you've had some weird things happening around the house?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So the home he was at beforehand, this is I got him from a cowboy, and when I say a cowboy, I mean this guy professionally brings cattle off of ranges, off of the range. You take your cows out to like a national forest and let them forage throughout the summer, and then he professionally, as his job, he goes contracts for companies or ranchers to go and just bring their cows off of the range. And so he does that for my brother. He also raises Australian Kelpies, which are they're cattle dogs. They're made for herding cattle, and so they can be pretty mean because they're just biting at cows' ankles and heels all day long to get them to move. And he sells them for quite a bit of money. He said, any given time he has between 15 and 30 dogs that he's training. And he traded Lurch to a neighbor who breeds Newfoundlands and said, "Oh yeah, I'll trade you a Newfoundland for, I don't know, 4 bum lamb carcasses." Because Wyoming.
So you had to get some lamb carcass in order to get a dog?
So when it came time to sell his sheep, he traded some carcasses, and that was payment for the dog. The thing was, he decided he needed to find a new home for Lurch because the Kelpies are not friendly dogs because they're working cattle dogs, and they kind of saw him as a threat, or he's big enough that they kind of get confused that he's like a cow, so they would like bite at him. And Lurch is big enough that if he turned and snapped back, it would do some damage, and then he would be out money because he's put so much money into training and then selling those dogs. So he figured, I love this dog, but I'm running a business. I can't have that liability on the ranch of potentially losing me upwards of $8,000-$10,000 in one of those dogs.
Yeah.
So he told my brother. My brother told me, and I went and picked up Lurch.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
Now, so he's always been outside, and he's pretty well trained as far as like come here, do this, do that outside. But you put him inside the house, and he's like a toddler. Everything is new and wonderful to him, right? So I came home the other day, and I again, had I the webcam, I would have loved to see it. He managed to go into the bathroom, take the roll of toilet paper on the roll, unroll it throughout the entire house without breaking it. Right. So we're going, in the hall, into another room, out of that room, like all over the house, unrolled it completely, but it was all connected still. It never broke. I've got some really big leather heavy Vask work boots that have just been showing up in the most random of places around the house. Every day he decides that the huge water bowl that we have for the dogs just needs to be tipped over while it's full of water whenever I leave. Things of that nature that I would just like to see, like, what's going on. Hiding dog toys in under the cushions of the couches. Stuff like that.
And if you want to find out, I just posted a picture of my dog, Rika, using the NetHeads on Air account. So, Trent, if you want to do that, if you have a picture of Lurch, you can please feel free to join. Actually, that's a good picture because it shows you an example of some of the things that have been done in the yard. There's a bunch of rock that's been put into the planter area over by the peach tree, the dreaded peach tree. There is a podocarpus tree bush plant thing that to his left.
Yep.
And that's actually artificial lawn that's right there in front of him.
Oh, really? So that's like the AstroTurf. Well, not technically, but the artificial lawn stuff.
Yeah, but it's actually got 3 different blade colors. It's got a dark green, a light green, and then a brown, and it's got
Which is
thatching
what makes
in
it look more. Yep. Oh, I was gonna say, because looking at it right now, especially where the light's hitting it, it looks real.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a lawn. That's the only reason, because there's a person down the street that did that. It was they put in an artificial lawn out front, but theirs literally looks like somebody let a putting green just grow long. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Like, I'm gonna take a hard pass on that.
Yeah, which is like what I'm used to. So like when you go and play on like cities' artificial soccer fields or stuff like that, that's what it looks like, and it doesn't even feel real. It feels like you're walking on like rubber.
Yeah, well, that's because they use rubber pellets as a weighting agent to keep the grains up and the turf down.
And get everywhere too, just all over in your shoes and your socks.
I hear they're also hellacious for like a rug burn. I don't know, like a skid mark kind of.
Yep, they totally are. Yeah,
skid burn or what have you.
Road rash.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're having some interesting parallels. So Lurch is learning. He's figuring out where he can put things, what things are and aren't in play. And we've been kind of going through that too with Rika. His name is Rika, which that's the name he was given. And
it's a good name.
Every once in a while, I try and slip Riker in there because I want him to. I want him to be Riker. You know, like number 1.
Yeah, he's number 1.
Oh, and I should have known. What silly me? I'm like, here's a picture of my dog. No, Trent's like, hey, here's the Instagram of my dog.
But here's the thing. You need to be careful with naming your dog Riker, because who knows what kind of sexual escapades he could get into. I tell you, that number 1, he just has so much charisma and some dubious advice at times too. Like, yes, Data, you should date an officer that you are the superior to, even though you don't have feelings for them, because it would be a good experience for you.
Yeah, and plus, you know, I don't want him to sit down in chairs real weird, like, you know.
Yeah, like man spreading all over the place, and then come on.
What is that? That right? It's like the chair is a horse. And he's got to swing his leg over the back of the horse, which is the back of the chair.
He always does it. He's the cool kid, right? He's the guy that owns the cafeteria and just comes in and sit. He's the Fonz of the Enterprise.
I haven't Googled it, but has anyone asked Jonathan Frakes what that was all about? I mean, I'm just curious.
It had to have been a decision, right? Like
no. That yeah. I don't. That's not just like, you know, that's something you do every day, and then the director goes, ooh, do that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And television is like, you know, they go through so many directors per episode that like the continuity would have to be a decision made by the actor that I don't think. Yeah, that, and also his tromboning.
Yeah, that
I always felt that was just the weirdest. Like, oh, we have an actor that knows how to play the trombone. Let's shoehorn this in to as many episodes as we can.
Yeah, or was that Jonathan Frakes going, you know, if there's something I just love doing, it's sliding, and so you know, if I could get a little bit of my trombone slide in, I'd appreciate that.
If I could slide my bone on TV, I'm sure that would really put me over.
Now wait, I gotta ask something though, because for some reason trombone, I instantly think ska music. Do you play an instrument, Trent?
I play the trombone.
Now let me ask you, when you learn, welcome to NetHeads, Tech Talk Supreme. Okay, hold on. Put a pin in that. So we're kind of going through the same thing with Rika, but Rika is unlike your newfie. Like I said, he grew up in a situation where it's kind of like a puppy mill / horde. So there's not a lot of people exposure. He's also and this I find very interesting, because if you look at just like from the basic of shape and height, I'm just a few inches taller than my wife, and like generally the same shape-ish kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's leery of men, I guess is the best way to put it. Because in the order of preferred people in the house right now, I believe it goes Blair, so the 4-year-old, then my wife, then Emily, my 15-year-old, and then myself. I am at the bottom of the barrel. Sometimes it's questionable whether we can be in the same room or not.
Yeah.
You know, just one of those things that happens. But there was one time early on we went. I did a quick run taking my daughter to the ranch, and then and we let him roam free. And we came back, and sure enough, some of Blair's toys had been victimized. My daughter's shoe was moved, and it's like, well, that's weird. So now we do still extend that courtesy, but I have to do a sweep. It's like, okay, well, what is at his height or above, and what do I need to keep an eye out for? We shouldn't really leave shoes here because they're still accessible, that kind of thing. But also it's been interesting because he has been gradually exploring his space more and more.
Yes,
and getting more comfortable. Like and this isn't a good thing. We have what is supposed to be, a medium-sized doggy door anyway, and he doesn't look like it because of all of that fluff, but there's a small framed dog. Basically, like, think of what happens if you took a greyhound and then stuck a big, floofy fur coat on him.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a lean working dog.
Yeah.
That's built for inclement cold weather.
Yeah, exactly. And so he sure enough, he will go in and out the doggy door. And now it's funny because you see things and you wonder, am I doing the right thing? Like, this is a dog that really will stay in his crate, like, as much as you let him.
Yeah.
So when he goes out in the morning, we then shut off the crate in an attempt to get him out and socializing.
Sure.
Then he was spending a lot of time in the backyard, and we're like, well, is this a good thing or a bad thing? But then we discover he's doing things like basically digging very small holes.
Yeah.
And then laying in them, because that means they're trying to make a den. So that's a good sign. He's comfortable.
Yes. Yep, exactly. So, and I'm glad you guys have got a crate for him too, because and eventually, with dogs, like, they are denning creatures. They need to have their own place or whatever. So, like, yes, a crate is a great idea, especially if you ever do need to crate them for a reason that they're comfortable with it and they feel like it's theirs. And that can be shifted to a dog bed that's just their own, right?
Exactly.
Or anything along those lines. But yes, that's perfect. You want him to have that denning instinct and foster it.
And I do have to tell people too, as somebody that has been, and I'm going to use this term, but I don't mean it in the way that it sounds bad, but as somebody that has been crating dogs for greater than a decade, that is one of the first things you learn, is that if you make it a space that they are comfortable with, they will naturally gravitate to it. In the case of my dogs, in the case of Lily, she knows that if she's supposed to go to bed, she can either try and make a beeline from her daughter's room upstairs, or she's going in her crate. But
which is just a bigger crate, essentially, right? That she feels comfortable in.
Essentially, well, I kind of think that's the way the dog feels about the backyard as well. It's like an open air crate right now for him.
Yeah,
that's a weird way to think about it, but it's true.
Yeah.
But you can also tell that it's a space that they're comfortable in, because, like, if we give Lily a treat or a Kong with peanut butter and kibble in it or what have you, she'll take it in there because she knows it's like, I want to protect this.
Totally.
So this is my space for it. So, it's not a bad thing. And honestly speaking, like Trent said, it is their comfortable space for them. So as long as they're comfortable in it and they're not going to be eager to break out of it, then it's a good thing. Actually, my mother-in-law wants to give us a secondary crate to have for the dog upstairs, although for Halloween I am going to just move his crate that he's comfortable with upstairs.
Yeah.
Because my house it's going to be calamity, Trent, so that back corner is, I figure it's the perfect place because the back corner of our bedroom is directly above the kitchen, so he can be aware of the sounds of people underneath, but he's not going to be directly impacted by all the door opening and closing, the kids running around, all that jazz. So it's an interesting balance. But the other thing that I like about this experience, Trent, is that, first of all, every sign of affection we get is like, oh, we earned that because we've been doing something right and making him more comfortable. So
it's true. Like it's dealing with any, sentient being that's been through trauma, right? Like, trust has to be earned. And it's funny that you mentioned that, myself, there are two creatures that just for some reason instinctively are very leery of my appearance. Infants and dogs, and I think it's because of the beard. I'm dead serious. They're like, people will hand me their kids, and they're just and they start freaking out. I don't take offense to it because I really think it's the beard. And some dogs I've gone to friends' houses, and they just don't know what to think about me because I'm assuming it's because of the beard.
It actually, in your case, it's a double threat because you got the big glasses
and
the
beard. Yeah.
And I'm sure more than likely the accompanying hat most of the time. So
yes, always. Yeah, it's cool though because dogs are interesting. There's a book, I forget what it's called, but a friend gave it to me for a birthday present one year. It talks about why a dog's cognition is so unique and what makes them such interesting animals within the animal kingdom. And a lot of it is because they can make cognitive jumps in inference that other animals can't do. So they can learn through repetition, which a lot of animals can do, but then they can also infer through that cognitive repetition that and anticipate other things. And so they're very curious, especially in new locations. So Lurch has never been in a town, let alone city environment. We went for a walk last night, and it was just so interesting to see how every sound, his ears perked up and he wanted to see what it was. Michael Cera's just cruising along. He's got, no problem. He knows what a bus sounds like. Lurch has never heard it before. So he's stopping on all fours and just like looking around, just trying to understand what the hell is going on, because all he's used to is, cows, sheep, and other dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going through that as well because, the dog is learning a new environment, but I'm glad that he likes going in the backyard because we live off of we have a major street behind our home. But there's a big fence. I don't mean like I'm worried about it, but it's just that means that constant noise he's getting used to. And I got to tell you, I don't know. I think it was not the first weekend it was here, but the second weekend or one of the days, I actually took him to the dog park. My Blair and I walked him to the dog park. We were just going to walk as far as he was willing to go.
Sure.
Ended up making all the way to the dog park a half block or a half mile away. And then apparently I'm really lucky because then I let him off leash to run around in the yard in the dog park because I know that he well, first of all, it's fenced in, but I also know that he is not this dog has no aggression in him. Right. None. Just absolutely none. But the thing I wasn't thinking about, and thankfully the walk, and I'm sure that experience wore him down some.
Tired him down.
Or else, honestly speaking, I might still be in that dog park trying to get him on a leash to get him home now.
Yeah. Given the freedom to just go. Yeah.
But it played out well. So I got lucky in that respect. But it's been interesting taking him on walks because there are things that still do spook him and don't. And we need to walk him more, but it's we need to get our timing down for that. Like when my wife gets home, I don't care what the weather is like. The dog's going out for a walk because he's, they're also, at least, and I'm sure the Newfie is probably the same way. They're bred they are just by nature working dogs. They are busy dogs. They're looking to be kept busy. Like if they're out, if they've left the house and gone trick-or-treating at Target right now, I'm worried about what's going on out there. I'll be honest. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. They need to be entertained. They need to have a purpose.
Yeah, and they need to be worked. Much in the same way that you need to lunge a horse to get his energy out. Yeah, I said lunging a horse. What of it, Trent?
Yeah. Hey, dude, that's growing up, we had a mechanical lead line just for that at the house.
There you go. See? So I know you need to lunge a horse to get his energy out, and that's part of the reason, not only for the exercise, but also just the expenditure of energy getting the dog out on a walk. And I really want to get him to the dog park more so that way he's socializing more overall. Yep. The thing is, in our case, at least in your case, you've got a dog it's grown up and it's been around people, right? So it knows people. This dog spent a year and a half, I'm estimating, roughly, because he just turned 2 on the 24th. And I kid you not, they found at the pet store some type of frosted doggy biscuit, a big dog biscuit shaped like a bone, covered in some type of white dog-safe frosting, and it said "Happy Birthday" on it. They got a picture of it and him with it. And Let me tell you, I am shocked. I have not seen my wife this invested in a dog since she married me. No, wait, let me rephrase. I have not seen my wife this obsessed with a dog since our first miniature pincher mini, which was I think that was our first dog that we got together.
Yeah.
And no, that's not true either. I'm a liar, because we had a Rottweiler named Gretchen. And Haley probably came to us after that, so it wasn't even that. But for some reason, Minnie was her dog, and she and I kid you not, man, my wife is obsessed with this one. She loves Rika so much.
That's awesome.
The only problem is, like I was saying, he didn't grow up around people, so essentially everyone in the house is suffering from what I call the bad boyfriend syndrome, because he doesn't want to have anything to do with us, and we just want to hug him and love him.
Yep.
So
and you've got to go at his pace.
Yeah, so we're working hard at not working too hard and all kinds of stuff. But it sounds like we're both going through some of the same growing pains, which is good.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like and it's a good reminder for me as well to like you said, okay, I need to have everything in the house needs to be in order and have its place so that things don't go missing or get chewed on or this, that, and the other. Like it's a good exercise in adulting, I guess.
We've got I don't know what the proper term for him is, but sometime on Pinterest my wife saw this thing where you take a part of the stairs, like if you've got a small lift of stairs off of the family room or living room, and you just put like small baskets on there to put stuff in. It's like, okay, this is my basket, that's Emily's basket, that's Denise's basket. And if we're going to take something upstairs, you put it in there and it's a reminder. What they end up becoming is crap baskets. That's what we call them, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm telling you right now, before I came in here, I know I had a pair of, okay, I'm going to say this out loud, but yoga mat flip-flops. Just don't.
No, it's
okay?
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, right?
No judgment here.
Yeah, right. And my wife had a very nice pair of Converse in the second down basket, and he's been sniffing these baskets all the time. One of the things in there is a bag of my daughter's play magnets. They're like little magnetic triangles.
Oh,
you can build into all kinds of shapes. But I'm just telling you right now,
yeah.
I'm afraid, Trent. I got fear.
Yeah.
Because I know those things were there.
and the hell of it is, you walked right past them.
Oh no!
to go into the room.
Oh yeah, I did.
because when it's a crap basket, it's like I'll get to it later.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do it on the next trip up the stairs.
I just I don't know what's going on out there, but it's interesting that you now. Why do you have him down in the studio? Was that just to keep him with you? Did he follow you
no? In fact, so this is the first time he's been in the basement, and dude, he would not go down the stairs into the basement. He'll go. There's a couple of stairs to go outside, which it took a while for him but he was scared to effing death to go down the stairs. Like I literally had to like get behind him and not easily because he's so damn big, push him down the stairs. And he's okay now. He's actually underneath my my table. I've got the monitors on. But he was not going down the stairs to come in here. So likewise, a good experience and exploration for him, but he was not comfortable with it at all.
And our dog, who doesn't have a lot of experience with stairs, absolutely loves them. One of the things about every dog, when they're happy, their tail is up and wagging, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And with these dogs, they're extra fluffy, so it's like it's almost like a peacock tail going up and curling.
Sure. Yeah.
When they're happy. And I'll be darned if he doesn't come. He just comes running down those stairs. He loves the experience so much. It's always tail up and yeah. So no, it doesn't twirl. It's just up and kind of there. And I know yesterday, like, Denise had some issues because the morning started off great. She let him out. He went outside, and while she was doing something, he actually came up to her, tail up, wagging, and then kind of leaned into her for a pet. And she's like, oh, my God, I'm going to cry. And then the rest of the day, the dog wanted nothing to do with any of us. Not a damn one of us at all. And, And she's like, no, I'm telling you, I think there's something wrong with him. Like, no, you're just obsessed. And he's, each day, and this is the mantra that I'm just trying to hold. Each day really is a new day. We don't know what we're going to experience with him today versus tomorrow versus the next day. The only thing we can try and do, this sounds a lot like AA. The only thing we can try and do is make the right decisions to make sure that the now is safe for him, right?
Totally, man. It's because dogs are so smart and they can infer things, but aren't able to speak directly in a language we understand. You don't know what the triggers are that he's learned through his past, right?
Yeah.
And so that it is just a trial and error thing, and a slow in therapy they talk about desensitization of those triggers and those harmful associations to finally get through. So yeah, man, that's literally the only way you can do it, is just take it one day at a time.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing. And I think the thing is, we're trying not to limit them, but we do need to learn certain things. Like we've got, I don't know what they call it, but it's a special kind of harness, and it's not like a back clipping harness. It actually clips in the middle of their chest. That way they don't really have the ability to pull away from you. I think they call it a gentle lead harness or something.
Yep.
And so look, up until this point, like the only person that can get it on him is my daughter Emily. Now, I think Denise recently got it on him, but then there was the matter of getting him clipped. And for some reason, he enjoys going on a walk, but he doesn't like seeing you come at him with the leash. And that's when we realized,
oh man, that breaks my heart.
well, and he did, and he had a flea of terror because there was a little bit of following him to try and get him on the lead. Wrong damn thing to do. I think what we're going to do in the future is, since he loves his crate so much, open up the crate, let him go in there. That way you can harness him and clip him at the same time.
Yep.
So I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I with my older dog Sherman and with Michael Sarah, I haven't done it with Lurch yet, but I use a Dremel to trim his nails.
Oh yeah.
Which works great. Terrifying because of the sound of the drill or whatever, and it's a weird feeling too for the dogs too, to just feel that vibration or whatever. I did some research, and some really good trainers on YouTube have shown how they do it. The most vulnerable a dog can ever be is when they're on their back. So if you're ever able to get a dog to be on their back, that is the ultimate show of trust and resignation to a human, right? Of like when they're on their back. And this trainer was able to get the dog so comfortable that they would be on their backs, and that's how they would do the nail trimming, was while they were on their back. And I still haven't got to that point yet with Michael Sarah. But one day, that's the hope, right? Is of like just like having that level of trust and making the dog comfortable enough that you can literally do, pretty much whatever you need to them.
I gotta tell you a fun anecdote as well, based strictly on that. There was one night that Rika was heavily panting, and we didn't know why. Granted, the house is 75 degrees to us, but we're also not wearing a giant fur coat. Sure. So, and these are snow dogs essentially. They're used to like digging their little hole in snow and resting in that.
And sleeping.
Yeah. So he was doing that, so she was panicked, and then later on, after I went to bed, she realized he's asleep, and he's on his back, paws up in the air, head back like that, and at first she panicked, then she realized, no, he is breathing, and then she looked it up, and it turns out that means that the dog is at their most relaxed, because they are so vulnerable, they feel safe. Because if you think about it, their vital their underside is a soft access point. So they're
evolutionarily, yeah, absolutely.
Their genitals and their stomach and everything else are exposed at that point. But this is their muscles and them at their most relaxed. So when that happened, that's when you got to realize, well, that's a good sign. Then he is comfortable and he's learning this is his home, and he's cool with it. So yeah, it's all been a very fun, interesting learning experience. And I'm sure in time we'll reap the rewards that we're looking for. It was funny, you mentioned nail trimming, and I had been, of all the weird things, I picked up a nail file, and instead of clipping my fingernails, I've been filing them instead. Yeah. The same way you do with the Dremel, but then again, the Dremel, at least then you don't have to do any after filing work. If you use a guillotine or scissor type.
And sometimes, with dogs, they can clamp down, and they end up mashing more than they do end up cutting. and that can damage like the sensible part of the nail, farther back, and it can bleed, and it's kind of gross.
It's called the quick. I don't know why they call it that.
It is. That's right. Now that you say that, I do remember that.
Yeah, and we've got a challenge with. I just realized my wiener dog Lily is back here with me. Well, she's got a bed in here. I was hoping Rika would do the same eventually.
Same thing, yeah.
But she's got a dedicated bed in here, and more often than not, when my daughter isn't home, she hangs during the workday. She hangs out with me too. But with her, I can never get her comfortable with that, and she absolutely hates getting her nails done, which means that we are typically trying not to clip the quick when we do her nails. Right this weekend, she's definitely due for it. So
yeah.
And she hates it so much, I don't think I could get away with the Dremel or the nail file kind of.
Oh yeah, it works great if you can get them to do it. It's every time for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to do one paw. See, you got through it. You're just fine. We'll wait a couple of hours. We'll try another paw.
Yeah, at which point then the dog has already forgotten. He's like, no, this is still horrible. What is wrong with you? Why are we going through this? You jerk.
Yeah. I've heard that noise before, and it's usually just in your bedroom. Why are you using it now on me? I'm like, different noises. No, I promise they're different noises.
Used in different places. This is all.
I would not put a Dremel there.
No. Well, I mean, depends how long it's been, but still pretty sure. It's like riding a bike. I don't remember a Dremel being involved, so yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Dildonics are always evolving.
Yeah, every single day, right? Actually, I was just listening to the last episode of Hollywood Babylon, and it turns out Dennis Hoff, the purveyor of the Moonlight Bunny Ranch and other brothels in Nevada,
yes,
he had passed away, unfortunately, and he was found naked with one, I can't remember what one thing was, and a quote-unquote sex toy in the other, at which I instantly think, like fleshlight, but you never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, I mean, don't don't limit the possibilities, Will.
I don't know. I shouldn't even be thinking about the possibilities. Don't know what's wrong with my head.
I mean, we're living in a dildonic fluid age.
We really are. It's just it's so amazing the technology. I mean, one week we're talking about my silly little robot, but God only knows what's going to happen in the future. I'm sorry. At the point where we're having sex with machines, there's an issue because the machine is not compliant. It's got no free will in the situation, and I'm not comfortable with that, Trent. I'm just not comfortable with it at all.
Well, and sadly, Asimov did not address that in his Laws of Robotics.
No, he didn't. Well, no, there's supposed to be one that they're not supposed to harm a human under any condition.
Yes, but we don't know about harming them.
Yeah, and what if you get into the whole S&M scene? Then,
exactly.
It's like, well, aren't you're both harming and pleasing, at which point then that's how the robotic revolution starts right there. That open contradiction.
And do we program the safe word, and then is it actually, theirs or ours? It's there's just so much.
And what if the voice recognition isn't working well enough? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, there's often that Vector doesn't even recognize that I'm talking to him. I don't know if it's because of these stupid trays in my mouth, but
speaking of Ralph Garman, I got a friend who was in LA over the week sent me a text saying that there was a billboard for radio station, and the copy on it says, "At least we didn't fire Ralph Garman."
Yeah, that's true, and we've seen a few pictures of that, and I love that. Well, actually, I will call him friend of the show, even though I don't think he's ever been on, but like Jensen Karp on the 12th recently announced that he had just become a permanent member of Kevin and Bean. And he even said, it's like, I feel like that crappy Marky Mark movie where I'm asked to replace the lead singer of the band I like. And I think he was referring to Ralph Garman, and Ralph was really gracious and just did a retweet. Congratulations. Hope you had as much fun as I did. Even though I wonder if that comment's kind of a veiled one, because he has openly said in interviews he loved the job, wasn't thrilled with the people. So I'm not sure what he's... I think that was a quiet watch your back, Carp.
Yeah, like find things to enjoy about the job that you can control.
Yeah, there you go.
That make you happy, so that you can enjoy while you're there, and just let the other stuff go.
Which is really the kind of advice that we should all follow, I think, in our professional careers. It's like, no matter what you do, find the thing you like about it, and then run with it.
And focus, dude. I'll tell you, like that's that has led to much more what's the term? I don't know, happiness in my work the past couple of years that I wish I would have learned earlier in my professional endeavors, right? Like to focus on the things that I like about the job and then just let the other stuff go.
That's all you can do, man.
Yeah.
Because you can't control anything. You can only control what you control, and that's it. And anything beyond that, it's all about, political interconnectivity, social awareness, and putting up with all the annoying corporate bullshit
politics
terms.
And bullshit. And yeah. So if you can just be like, you know what, that is what it is, and wherever you go, that's going to exist. I'm going to focus on the stuff that I enjoy in my work and let the other stuff just go. So congrats, Jensen. You're the man.
There you go, buddy. You do you, brother. By the way, I just have to point out for those that have watched the video, we didn't color coordinate today. We didn't plan on. It's not like we said,
no.
Oh, hey, I'm going to wear my Office Space shirt, and you're like, oh, I'm going to wear my I don't know which comic cover it is.
Inhumans.
I'm going to wear my Inhumans, thinking, oh, they're both light blue, but apparently that's the way we went.
Yeah.
We're matchies. However, how will people tell us apart? Well,
I don't know. We're twinsies, obviously.
Well, you look like you're from like an extra from Duck Dynasty, and I look like I'm a before candidate on an alopecia.
I just finished this beautifully done third season of Daredevil. You're the stand-in for the Kingpin.
I got to tell you, I thought I was ready to wrap up. I actually did the same thing. I watched the third season of Daredevil as well. Collectively, I think over last weekend is how I did it. One of those things where it's like, oh, I'm going to be spending time in front of the computer. I think your version of it was playing video games, so that way you're accomplishing two useless things at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. Getting all the stimuli.
Yeah, it's not like oh, well, I was watching that while the Roomba was running, so that way I should have been vacuuming, but instead the robot did it, and I was watching this. I'm using that example because we got one, and my God, I never thought it would be such a useful thing to have a robot do the vacuuming. But
dude, with dogs, it's a step that I need to make.
In our case, it's a matter of reducing dust, and really we just need to vacuum really, more often than we do. Like even now, I know I cleaned this desk 2 weeks ago, and it's covered in dust again.
Oh yeah,
but anyway,
electronics are the worst.
Anyway, actually, my problem is I think it's because I'm almost always using a ceiling fan, which the fan, technically, it helps move more dust around, not to mention the friction of the air in the blades colliding with the particles or particulates that are already in the air creates a charge, so it continues to act as a magnet, and then it's naturally also going to lose grip on what it's already got. So you got twofold there. But I wanted to talk about Daredevil, goddammit. Season 1 of Daredevil, I really liked. Season 2 of Daredevil kind of seemed to suffer from the Marvel show issues of...
It was 4 to 5 episodes too long.
But at least it did structure it well enough in like the story things. First, they kind of established the Elektra issue, then they established... there was... Actually, season 2 of Daredevil felt more like a multi-chapter story about the Punisher with Elektra thrown in.
Yep, totally. Yeah, like I felt like because like it was, I think it was exactly at the midpoint of the season where the Punisher tells his origin story in the graveyard, which is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I felt like it should have ended and then done, like a micro season separate of the Elektra stuff, but.
Well, and I got to say, too, because since we've last talked, not only has Iron Fist been canceled by Netflix, but now Luke Cage has as well. And I will say both of those series, one of those series
yeah, thank you.
was good, but it, too, if they weren't so hung up on 13 episodes, if you just focused on quality versus the quantity, they would have had probably better stories being told, at least in a pace where viewership wouldn't have potentially labored so much.
Well, and while they were canceled, we need to step back and look at the forest from the tree. Disney is launching their streaming service next year, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense that you would want your property not tied up anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, ABC is the production house. I think it's ABC Studios.
ABC Studios, yep.
Does all of the they're the producers of these shows. They're the ones that do it, and then it's a joint partnership, I'm sure, in cost between Netflix and Marvel. But let's face it, it's if you're talking Disney, ABC, Marvel, same thing.
Yep.
That's it. And with their own streaming service coming out, you need to have something to make people come to your subscription service. You know,
new content stuff, right? Because diehard fans already have all the digital or accessible versions of the shows, movies that they love. So and this is where streaming has realized the benefit of original content. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Well, and Disney seems to be stacking the deck already. Look, I'm going to make a case in point. Titans premiered on DC Universe, and that's supposed to be the draw to get there. They haven't gotten my money yet. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't say that because the guy that runs the network we're on and the guy and his daughter are featured on there. Not to mention Ralph Garman kind of has like the TMC behind the movie show on there.
Yep. Incentive-wise, though, this week they did start adding all of the kind of like the Marvel Unlimited comic stuff. They've now started adding comics as part of the subscription thing. That's what I've been waiting for, as far as like the impetus to jump on. Because I already have access to all the DC animated stuff, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love it to no end. But that's what I was waiting for. That all in addition to that. From what I've been told firsthand by people who have watched Titans, holy shit, this is not your all ages Teen Titans. This is a extremely graphic, mature, violent version of the 20-something heroes.
Oh yeah, well I think that would have been obvious from the trailer, where literally. I don't know if it's Robin is Robin or Robin is Nightwing on this, but he literally says "F Batman." Really, like it's a line of dialogue.
Yeah, Anyway,
so with the Disney streaming, I understand doing that, and they've already gone in. They've already announced that they are doing a Loki limited run series and a Scarlet Witch limited run series. So they're already giving us something to go there for. And then if these products move over to the Disney streaming service, like, I don't know, we may not see Luke Cage, we may not see Iron Fist, but we certainly may see like Heroes for Hire, or what was their team up name?
In the comics, Heroes for Hire. In the movie universe, they called it the Defenders.
Right. So with that, we could definitely see the duo of Luke Cage and Iron Fist come in. But I'm interested to see what happens because, honestly, this season of Daredevil, it was very well balanced. There was there wasn't the limitless number of episodes where they are sitting around in hiding without a purpose. Kind of thing. And that didn't happen here. And they did just enough to release just enough elements to keep you interested throughout. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen next?
And they did a great job too. I feel like as for all of our discounting of like, well, this wasn't a good season or this wasn't a good episode, they're all still pretty damn good. And to be honest, as a whole, in my opinion, better than the CW pound for pound, right? The CW episodes of epoodic hero television.
You shut your goddamn mouth.
that's I'm just for pound for pound.
I
still love it. I still watch it all. Don't get me wrong. I freaking gobbled up a show that I didn't think I would have any interest in, which is The Legends of Tomorrow. But freaking loved it, man. I like gobbled it up. Like give me Katie. What's her name? Katie.
I don't know.
White Canary. Anyway, she's amazing, and Captain Cold is the greatest like character ever. Back to original point. This season did an awesome job of every episode developing characters, and I feel like we never really saw a whole lot of character development within Iron Fist at all. He was just always kind of the same person. In fact, kind of like devolves from the first episode, and in this episode we see Daredevil evolve, we see Foggy evolve, we see Karen Page evolve, we see Kingpin evolve, like even oh, so happy, spoiler alert, we get to see the Gladiator again from the end of the first season, who I love what they have done with him, and like just give us a little drop and then little homages to him too, where he like throws the saw blade. Oh my god.
My
cool.
only question, spoilers, there is one part where somebody goes to a freezer where some people have been stored. Was that Melvin in there? Was that him?
I'm hoping not. No, I don't think so, because he was captured by the police, not the FBI. I don't remember.
Not to get into spoilers, but you know,
it was the FBI.
Yeah, you don't know at that point.
I hope not. I hope not, because man, what they've done with him is great, and it's interesting too, because when he goes and talks to Betty afterwards, we don't see Betty again after that scene. So
well, and before that episode, we hadn't really seen her either
at all. Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that you know, in a season 4 we get it. They flesh that out more, because but like the I just and the bullseye take was brilliant too.
Up until the very final scene of the final episode of the series, I completely agree, because they didn't. And sometimes it's better if you do this, guys. Don't get into how he's able to do this. He just has an innate ability to hit the target, and that's what he does. And look, I hate to say it, but it sounds like it started when he was a kid, you know, torturing animals, and it seemed like he would throw rocks at them. So anyway, it's just an innate ability he had. And you know what? If you're already living in a world where a blind guy has so many heightened senses, it's just as good. It's even better than seeing and hearing. Then you're okay with a guy that just has an innate ability to hit the target. You know, we've already got that also with Hawkeye. Hawkeye?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is the good and bad version of it, and naturally a guy with heightened senses is the only one that can stop this guy from hitting the target. I'm okay with that. And I think they did a really good job with it, because it wasn't just him. It was the build up to him truly becoming Bullseye, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, and the great little like Easter egg of the team, the baseball team he was on as a kid.
Target on the hat. Yeah, I saw that one too. I'm like, hey, that's clever. But I don't look for the other stuff. I leave the articles on Easter eggs to show me. Like one of them, there's one of the fight posters in the background of one of the scenes is Parker versus Morales.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See.
Oh, I didn't. That's cool. That's good.
Yeah. Let somebody else do the hard work. I'm just gonna watch the story. You can tell me about the shit I missed later. I was really pleased. I also thought it was very interesting the take they had on it, where we got to see somebody in the Daredevil costume, but it was never Matt Murdock in this series.
Right? Yeah.
So that was an interesting take. As a matter of fact, I almost wonder if they felt like they had to dial it back somewhat because of maybe reaction during the second series. But, you know, if Melvin did get killed, there's at least the saving grace that there is a costume that was made.
Good point, yeah.
And I won't say how, but it is in the series, and you can see that. So there is a potential for him to go back to that, although, you know, the badass non-costume version of him looks pretty...
and then when he puts the Mai Tai wraps on...
Mm-hmm.
That the Souls version of Daredevil in the comics, where he has a black suit and then he has red wraps of those same wraps, but the red around his gloves. I think it looks cool. Cool and makes sense. And they address like, no, I need to be able to attack him in close, so I need to have more protection, but I can't have something that would stop me from doing it. It's kind of like a low tech fix to it.
If you think about it, if you've got a cloth wrap on there, you're protecting yourself from the friction of the ropes, but not the person you're wailing on.
Totally. Yep. Exactly.
Not that I put any thought into this.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think that they did smart is kind of like what the MCU has done, where they take a base concept and they run with that as the basis of the story. You know, I don't think any of the other shows have really done that, but with this one, this seemed to borrow heavily from like the Daredevil Born Again scenario.
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely.
Where Karen Page basically trades Matt Murdock's name for drugs. Hey, there's an uplifting moment. But they had a lot of, and that helped, I think, provide some cohesiveness and direction. And they also, they brought back Kingpin, which of course is going to help. And not only did they bring him back, but they show why Fisk was so okay with going to jail, because, spoilers, guys, he's got machinations moving in ways to get himself out. There's just a lot of master strokes here. I think the only thing I had a problem with was the resolution of conflict. Seems a little too loose contract, but enough for me, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say.
But that being said, it's kind of bookended, right? Because at the very beginning, we saw the importance. What was it that Kingpin said? Love is the perfect prison, right? And so at the very end, that's essentially right. That's the one thing that's keeping this contract in place between Daredevil and Kingpin is his love for, and I forget, Vanessa, his love for Vanessa, right? So I'm okay with it. It's great because it, like, again, development of Kingpin, right? Like, and I don't know. I love it.
There are a lot of things here. If you appreciate like structure and callbacks, like the first time I think we see Kingpin, he's cooking. And listening to music, and it looks like he's cooking a nice meal, and then it's revealed that the environment he's doing this in is all in his head, and he's just working with a hot plate and plasticware within a prison. Later on, there is a moment where he is in that moment again, but he's back out in the real world, and you think this would be the culmination of everything he has worked for and wanted. He's been building to this moment. And then even there, now that he's made fantasy reality, it's still not exactly the way he wanted it.
It's never enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's great too, because I mean, at the last time we saw him in the previous season, it was him staring at the wall, right? And which was a callback to as a kid staring at the wall, which is a callback to the painting that he got from Vanessa, which plays heavily in this season as well. I don't know. It's just so interesting because for all the great structure and plot and character development that's been done in this, none of it was done in Iron Fist.
Yeah, well, I think part of one of the things they also did here is they really simplified the story if you just want to compare Daredevil season 2 to season 3, because think about it,
sure.
There was a whole mess of stuff. You had everything going on with Frank Castle and his story. You had everything with the buildup of Elektra and her story. What else did you have?
Season 2, like, it was more of a means to setting up the Punisher series, to setting up the Defenders series, than it was a Daredevil season, right? Like this was a means to that end of spawning out these other things, and it was great to get back to just Daredevil story.
I think it was also good because they definitely told a solid story. Like it opens with Matt Murdock definitely in one place, and then by the end of the series, he is in the diametrically opposite place. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. Yep.
Without giving spoilers away, but it's true because basically you find a very isolated Matt Murdock in the beginning, and then by the end things seem to be falling into place. We finally learn the dark history of Karen Page, which was nice. Yeah. It was a good reveal, and it was told in a way where it really worked, because it was like not a whole. That's the other thing too that I appreciated. It wasn't a whole episode of Karen's backstory. It was literally half of it setting us up for the second half of the episode.
Yep.
Just this season seemed to all be about balance, right? Really, when it came down to it.
Yeah.
Balancing love life, work life, balancing your personal life versus your public life, very structured. The episodes are very balanced. There are a lot of things that, much like in Watchmen, you get like something in the beginning this way, and then it's the opposite by the end, or it's a direct parallel of just a geniusly told season. And I only hope, because one of the things that people are speculating, the reason why Luke Cage and Iron Fist got the axe isn't so much about the content deals, but it really is about viewership and metrics. And the comparative that they're using to that is the amount of online chatter that's going on via social media about the show. So if comparatively Daredevil has a lot of social media chatter and it does survive a chopping block, then we know maybe those metrics can be determined that way, because Netflix doesn't give viewership numbers. But yeah, definitely one of those things to check out. I will say that before the show, actually, fans of Breaking Bad, I've just got to tell you, if you have not watched Ozark on Netflix...
Oh, I've heard people... it's in my queue. I've heard people suggest it for me.
Yes, queue it up. It is an excellent story. I was riveted from beginning to end. And here's a saving grace. There's 2 seasons up now for you to watch, and the third has already been greenlit. So you're not...
Oh, nice.
There is something to look forward to as well. I got to tell you, though, this binging thing is dangerous because it's changing the way I'm structuring my whole damn life. I almost am thinking I want to hold off on watching my CW, or as Ralph Garman perfectly put it, the DCW shows.
Yep.
Because I don't want to watch The Flash doled out over weeks. I just want to see the whole story unfold now, because I know what it's like getting that dry rub, if you will.
So I think that was part of my aversion to the first season and the first 2 seasons, the first season of Flash and the first 2 seasons of Arrow, was the watching it episodically, week by week. I didn't enjoy it, but going back and watching it all on Netflix and Hulu, I've gobbled it all up. I gobbled up all of Legends the same way. Like I'm more of a gobbler, I guess, than I am a savorer.
There, well, good to know. Yeah, I actually I had been during my exercise. Let's just call it exercise. During some of my downtime, one of the things I was doing was rewatching The Flash leading up to this season. And it was funny because the first season, we've got Eobard Thawne as Harrison Wells.
Right.
In one episode, he's naming names of people that died in the particle accelerator explosion. And one of them was Ralph Dibny. Well, last season, Ralph Dibny, the elongated man, he is a part of the season and part of the team now. And it's funny, it's almost as if somebody else did that rewatch with me, because when he said Ralph Dibny, I'm like, wait a second. And then in the premiere episode, when Ralph is finally learning about alternative timelines and everything, he even makes a comment. It's like, yeah, we could be living in a timeline where I didn't die in the particle accelerator explosion. It's like, oh, they just tipped their hat.
Yep. We know where they're at.
You sons of guns, you.
Yeah. You tricksters, you.
Yeah. So anyway, Ozark is amazing. I also watched, speaking of Berlanti's DCW shows, Netflix has an original for the something or other something of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So it's like the Darker Adventures or something.
Yeah, not kind of like the reboot that they did in 2014. Archie did kind of with the horror side of Sabrina. And if I remember correctly, it is she's portrayed by the Don Draper's oldest daughter. The same actress actor that played her.
Maybe I can never get into Mad Men. And don't judge me for it.
No.
But I have to tell you, based on the 30 minutes that I watched, looks like it's going to be a good run as well.
Yeah.
And it exists in that grittier kind of Riverdale universe, I think, because that's the thing. Riverdale, this is almost kind of like teeing off of that in a way. And Riverdale, my daughter is obsessed with. It's the whole reason why we spent like 10 to 12 hours coming back from San Diego, because we had to go to that thon, or that we had to go to that panel. But anyway, we're living in a good TV time, I guess.
We are.
Even The Good Place, in probably one of the largest stretches of what it needed to accomplish, given the changes in the show, even this season is playing out well. Although, again, I'm kind of feeling like it's the only show I try to watch live, but I realize something. With a 4-year-old in the house, you really can't watch any TV shows live at all. Anyway, man, look, we've talked way too long. We got to go.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut it off early, but I got to go pick up my kid.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's not early, Will. That's responsible.
Yeah. 45 minutes ago, I looked at the timer going, wow, we've almost gone an hour. And I don't know if you realize this, Trent. We've been going for an hour and 35 minutes. An hour and 35. Yeah, this is the only time I'm lasting that long in anything, whether it's running or anything else. But hey, don't forget, folks, if you want to help support NetHeads, there are many ways you can. Go to netheadsonair.com. You can click on the Patreon link. You can click on the Amazon link or the Think Geek link. Amazon, just click on that link. Do your regular shopping. You're helping out the show. The holiday season is coming up. Think Geek, excellent place to get gifts for your friends. Go ahead and click that. And if we got a Loot Crate one, you go to lootcrate.com/netheads as well. All these things help support the show. Patreon, we try and do original content. There's levels of rewards, all kinds of stuff. If you want to find out more about Trent, you can follow him. He's at a part of him. I am at NetheadWW. The show is NetHeads on Air. And until next time, Trent, we'll be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
Yeah, that's right. You dance for daddy.
Oh, you just make it right. I don't know.